What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday to you. This is break number 882 BD. It's a case of Panini Prizm Baseball. It's a 6-box hobby break. There's our 6 boxes on the table. One up top. Box number 1, good luck. All right, here we go, guys. Box number 1. That is Brandon Sprout. That is 323 out of 499. We have Hank Greenberg on the red wave for Detroit. That is a red dingers of Reggie Jackson for the Yankees. Reggie Jackson, that one is numbered 48 out of 199. 48 of 199. Checkerboard, Dylan Cruz. Nice hit for the Nationals. 3 out of 99. Takoa Roby on the silver prism. Talisman, that is Jace Jung. We got Miguel Tejada and the blue. Miguel Tejada. That is 90 out of 199. Our first auto goes to the Cardinals. That's Max Rajcic. Max Rajcic. 14 out of 99 on the auto. Kyle Teal on the prismatic. There's Don Drysdale for the Dodgers. That is 448 out of 499. Deion Sanders for the Braves, silver prism. Carson Bench on the fireworks for the Mets. We got Noble Mayer, red. Noble Mayer, that is 3 out of 299. Chase DeLauder on the red wave. Dingers of Manny Ramirez. Pulsar of Terry Francona. That is 296 out of 499 for the Red Sox. Christian Scott on the silver prism. Nick Kurtz on the talisman. We got our first blue auto of the break. Blue auto. That is Albert Pujols on the legendary autos for St. Louis. Albert Pujols, legendary auto for St. Louis, and that is numbered 20 out of 49. 20 out of 49. Nice hit for the Cardinals. Drew Burris on the red for the non-MLB NIL spot, 226 out of 299. Jeff Bagwell on the red wave, talisman of Ethan Salas. Pulsar of Pedro Martinez, 321 out of 499. Yadi Molina on the silver prism, Cam Caminiti fireworks. Miles Naylor, our next auto is a Pulsar auto. Miles Naylor on the red, talisman of Jacob Wilson. Alright, Miles Naylor, that is number 206 out of 299. And our Pulsar auto, that is Dante Nori for the Philadelphia Phillies. Dante Nori to 199. That is 137, 137 out of 199. We got blue, Jared Thomas. Blue, 89 out of 199 for the Rockies. Seaver King on the silver prism. Christian Campbell on the prismatic. Aaron Judge on the Pulsar. Aaron Judge, 207 out of 499. We have Bryce Rainier on the red wave. Cam Smith on the fireworks. We got Mason Wynn on the red for the Cardinals, 215 out of 299. Mike Schmidt on the silver prism. Dinger's Advance Honeycutt for Baltimore. And that is box number 1. Box number 2. Box number 2. All right, box number 2. Here we go. There's your Danny Monegro for the Red Sox. That is 226 out of 499. Braden Montgomery Silver Prism. Dingers of Ken Griffey Jr. with Seattle. We got a green scope of Luke Dickerson. Luke Dickerson on the green scope. Talisman of Christian Moore. Our first auto is a red auto. That is Colt Keith for the Detroit Tigers. That is Colt Keith, 14 out of 99. 14 out of 99. Nice auto for Detroit. Luke Dickerson, 70 out of 75 on the scope. We got blue, Brady Ebel. That's going to the non-MLB NIL spot. 39 out of 199. Josue De Paula for the Dodgers on the silver prism. Bubba Chandler Fireworks. Pulsar of Yordani Monegro again. This one is 327 out of 499. Justin Upton on the red wave. Talisman of Chase Burns. That's Tyson Neighbors on the red. 54 of 299. Robin Yount on the silver prism. That is Jacob Wilson on the prismatic. There's Grady Sizemore, Pulsar. That's 72 of 499 for Cleveland. Arjun Namala on the red wave. That is Christian Campbell to 199 on the prismatic red. That is 173 out of 199. Red checkerboard of Blake Mitchell, 71 out of 99 for Kansas City. Chris Cortez for the Angels on the silver prism. Slade Caldwell on the fireworks. Bubba Chandler on the blue. We got our first Mojo, 38 out of 199 on the Bubba Chandler, and our Mojo auto goes to Pittsburgh. That is Wyatt Sanford. Wyatt Sanford on the Mojo auto. That is 9 out of 25. 9 out of 25. Braden Montgomery on the dingers. Pulsar, Yordani Monegro. That's 408 out of 499. Vance Honeycutt on the silver prism. Marcelo Mayer Talisman. Purple, Johnny Farmello for Seattle. That's 1 out of 149. Theo Gillen on the red wave. James Triantos on the prismatic. We got red, Sebastian Walcott. Texas Rangers, 253 out of 299. Tim Hudson on the silver. Fireworks of Kellen Lindsay. Last auto is Kellen Lindsay for the Dodgers on the Mojo auto, not Mojo, excuse me, Pulsar auto to 199. Kellen Lindsay for the Dodgers. That one is numbered, where is it? There it is. 40 out of 199. 40 of 199. So far, every auto in these first two boxes have been numbered. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That is what? Six numbered autos. 161 of 499, Johnny Bench. Will Wagner for Toronto on the red wave. Dingers of Cam Smith. Box number 3. I'm going to put this box up on top of here so that way we can put that Albert Pujols auto out. Just keeps staring me in the face like, hey, why aren't you displaying me? This is box number 3. Box number 3. All right, box number 3. Here we go. Pulsar, Willie Stargell for the Pirates. That is 41 out of 499. 41 of 499. Brody Brecht on the Silver Prism for Colorado. Fireworks of Franklin Arias. We got a Cherry Blossom up behind Brady Ebel. Brady Ebel, that is for the non-MLB spot. 124 out of 149. And our Cherry Blossom is going to the Tampa Bay Rays. That is Carson Williams for the Tampa Bay Rays. That one is number 13 out of 20. 13 out of 20. We have a Dingers of Christian Campbell. There's Carter Jensen for Kansas City, 172 of 299. Pee Wee Reese on the Silver Prism for the Dodgers. Christian Campbell on the Talisman. We got Levi Sterling. That's for Pittsburgh. 317 out of 499. Jacob Wilson for the A's on the Red Wave. There's a blue prismatic. Blue prismatic of Rhett Lauder for the Cincinnati Reds. That one is numbered 97 out of 99. 97 of 99. Rhett Lauder. Checkerboard. That's Brandon Sprout for the Mets. 48 of 99. Justin Upton on the Silver Prism. Chase Burns on the Prismatic. Theo Gillen, that is 34 of 199 for Tampa Bay. And our next auto is Hunter Hollan. Hunter Hollan, that's our first non-numbered auto of the break. That is for Cincinnati. For Cincinnati, Hunter Hollan. Carson Williams on the Fireworks. Pulsar, Noble Mayer, that is for Miami. 67 of 499. Jack Leiter on the Silver Prism. Dingers of Reggie Jackson. Red, Larry Walker for the Cardinals. There is 87 out of 299. There's Bryce Rainier for Detroit on the Red Wave. Spencer Jones Talisman. Nick York for the Pirates, 79 of 499. Also on the Silver Prism. Rhett Lauder on the Prismatic. We got a Prismatrix auto right there. Under Brett Saberhagen, Prismatrix auto. We got Matt Horvath on the purple. Joe Torre on the Red Wave. Albert Pujols on the Dingers. Grady Sizemore red. 103 out of 299. Wyatt Sanford on the Silver Prism. Prismatic of Hagen Smith. Luis Baez on the Pulsar. Spencer Jones on the Firework. Alright, Luis Baez covering up another auto. There's 181 out of 499. This auto goes to the Baltimore Orioles. That is sensational signature of Ethan Anderson. Ethan Anderson, not numbered. Our Prismatrix auto can be numbered. It also cannot. It also can be unnumbered. So here we go. Good luck, everybody, on the Prismatrix auto. Prismatrix rookie. It is a rookie. And there is Cam Smith. Cam Smith on the Prismatrix auto for the Houston Astros. And this one is numbered. It is a Mojo 9 out of 25. 9 out of 25, which means it is one touch time. Cam Smith. Nice auto for Houston. Nice auto for the Houston Astros. There we go. All right. Box number 4. Box number 4. So far, this is a pretty good case. Pretty good case so far. There's pretty good first 3 boxes out of this fresh case. This is a half case break, 6 boxes. So far, we've got a numbered Prismatrix Cam Smith to 25. Albert Pujols auto blue to 49. Yeah, this has been a pretty good break so far. And we got a Mojo auto to 25 over here for the Pirates. Any case hits yet? Not yet. Blah, not yet. No Snakeskin or Color Blast, but we still got 2 boxes to go because it's definitely not in this one. But 2 boxes still to go, and if we don't hit the case hits out of this last 2 boxes, then that means Sunday's break of this stuff. Is it Sunday? I think we're doing this Sunday. Sunday's break should be wild. If we don't do it Sunday, then it'll be next Tuesday. So we'll see. Here we go. But the second half will be sick if we don't hit the case hits out of this case. There we go. Tris Speaker, 444 out of 499 for the Red Sox. David Ortiz, Silver Prism. Yeah, go check it out, Blah. I'm not sure if it's Sunday or if it's going to be on next Tuesday. Austin Wells, blue for the Yankees. There's 11 out of 199. That is Adrian Santana for Tampa Bay on the auto. Dylan Cruz, Prismatic. There's Christian Scott. Christian Scott for the Mets. That is 89 out of 499. Benito Santiago for the Giants, silver. Jack Leiter on the Fireworks. We got some gold. We got some gold. We got Walker Janik for Houston. Is that a gold auto? It's not, but it is Leo DeVries. Leo DeVries on the gold. That is 7 out of 10 for the Padres. 7 out of 10. That's a sick hit. Walker Janik, 105 out of 149 on the purple. Nice hit there for Houston. Him and Cam Smith, the big prospects. Juan Valera for the Red Sox, 250 out of 299. Jacob Wilson, silver. Paul Skeens, talisman. Okay, yeah, then it must be Tuesday. Jarlin Susanna. That is for the Washington Nationals, 456 out of 499. Josh Gibson going to the non-MLB spot on the red wave. And our prismatic red is James Triantos of the Cubs. James Triantos, that is to 199. That is numbered 35 out of 199 for the Cubbies. Checkerboard, Bobby Witt Jr., 77 out of 99. Brady Ebel on the Silver Prism non-MLB spot. George Lombard on the fireworks. We got a blue Manny Ramirez. Blue Manny Ramirez, 92 out of 199. And that is Antonio Anderson on the auto for the Red Sox. Talisman of Hai-Song Kim. Antonio Anderson, not numbered, auto for the Red Sox. Frank Thomas on the Pulsar, 184 out of 499. Bryce Matthews for Houston. Bryce Matthews for Houston on the Silver Prism. Bryce Rainier on the Prismatic. Alright, here we go. Last stack of box number 4. Walker Janik. Walker Janik for Houston. 46 of 75 green scope. Starlin Caba on the red wave. Franklin Arias on the fireworks. Ben Hess for the Yankees. That's 245 out of 299. Tom Seaver on the Silver Prism. Dingers of Christian Campbell. Our last auto, that is going to the Giants on the Prism auto, Bryce Eldridge. Bryce Eldridge for the Giants. This is not numbered, but that is a Prism auto. Kobe Mayo for the Baltimore Orioles. That is 154 out of 499. 154 of 499. Paul Skeens on the red wave. That is a talisman of Christian Campbell. That is box number 4. Box number 5. Box number 5. All right, box number 5. Here we go. Green scope. That's Yordani Monegro. Yordani Monegro, 74/75. Owen Hall on the silver prism. Dingers of Jackson Churio. We got Tony Olivia on the blue. Is this a auto? No, it's not. It is Joe Sewell for Cleveland on the Mojo. That's 58 out of 199 on the Tony Olivia. Sewell on the Mojo, 20 out of 25. Hagen Smith on the Talisman. What's up, Draken? How are you, bud? Better late than never to the party. I hear you, buddy. Drew Beam for Kansas City. That is 67 of 499. Kellen Lindsey, silver prism. Roman Anthony on the prismatic. Did you get in this one today, Draken? David Ortiz, red, 160 out of 299. Nick York on the red wave. That is a red dingers to 199 of Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, 23 out of 199 on the red dingers. No problem, man. No problem. I got you, buddy. I think we're going to rerun the second half. We're going to run the second half of this case on Tuesday. So, Kellen Lindsey, that is 472 of 499. Connor Griffin on the silver prism. Travis Bazana on the fireworks. Alright, just so you know, the mosaic break has been delayed until tomorrow, tomorrow morning, mid-morning or afternoon, because of the plane crash that happened at the UPS facility in Kentucky. Just so you know. Dingers of Ken Griffey Jr. I know it was horrible. My product was sitting there about ready to be delivered, so it's sad. 12 people lost their lives. So that auto goes to Jonathan Clase for the Blue Jays. Jonathan Clase. So we're offering people, if they want to cancel their spots, they can cancel, no problem. But you know, we're hoping that people will understand that the plane crash, I mean, that's out of our control. So, but we are offering people to cancel if they want. So, yeah, blah, that it sucks. James Wood, 172 out of 199. There is Silver Cam Smith for Houston. Christian Moore on the Talisman. That is Ryan Johnson for the Angels. I'll let you know. 419 out of 499. As of right now, nobody's canceled, but you never know. Bert Campaneris on the Red Wave. Bubba Chandler. As of right now, the product is in the air on its way to Arizona, so hopefully it'll be here and I'll be able to break it tomorrow morning, sometime probably around 10 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Pacific. So hopefully that'll be able to happen, but you never know. So Ty Cobb on the purple, that is 45 out of 149. James Wood on the silver prism. Talisman of Chase Burns. All right, last stack of box 5. We got a red auto. Red auto, we're going to save that for the last. Max Muncy, 32 out of 299. It's right there under Bobby Witt Jr. Braylon Doty on the Red Wave. Jacob Wilson Prismatic. Homer Bush for Tampa Bay. That's 69 out of 499. Charlie Condon on the Silver Prism. Slade Caldwell on the Fireworks. We have an orange and, yeah, looks like just an orange. Here we go. It's our first orange of the break. That is Malcolm Moore. There is an auto behind there. I thought so. Dingers of Braden Montgomery. All right, let's start with this one. We got a Pulsar auto here to 199 going to the San Francisco Giants, Josur Gonzalez. 112 out of 199. Nice hit for the G-Men. That is Malcolm Moore for Texas on the Orange Wave. That one is numbered 43 out of 49. Nice hit for Texas. And our red auto underneath Mr. Bobby Witt Jr. Maybe it's a legendary auto, another one. We'll see. It is Mr. Johnny Bench on the color match. To 99, legendary auto, Johnny Bench. 10 out of 99. 10 out of 99. That is a pretty looking card, is right. That's nice. That's nice. There we go. We got our final box right there, box number 6. We'll put Johnny and Albert next to each other. We'll put Cam Smith right there on that pretty Mojo Prism Matrix auto. Told you, these first 6 boxes were great. Now, if we do not hit the case hit, Color Blast and Snake Skin out of this box, it's probably going to be in Tuesday's break. I mean, you cannot guarantee it, but it's probably there. I haven't seen a case without the case hits. So, hopefully, it's there in this box. If not, hopefully Tuesday, guys. Tuesday, y'all got to get in that break. Tuesday will have a big chance to hit the case hits. Here we go. Let's see if it is the box. It looks like it's not. Normally, with the box with the case hits, the top three cards are turned backwards. So, looks like we are going to have a case hits in the next break. Again, cannot guarantee that, but it's a 95% chance, 90% chance. So Tuesday's breaks, I believe it's going to be Tuesday. Should be Tuesday. It hasn't been posted yet, so I don't know what breaks we're doing Tuesday, but I do know that it won't be Sunday. Then again, it could be Sunday. I've still got one more break that hasn't posted on for Sunday, so it could be the first break Sunday afternoon. Here we go, guys. Box number 6, James Triantos, 364 out of 499. Cam Caminiti on the silver prism. Talisman of Luis Angel Acuna. Johnny Farmello, purple. Chase Dolander prismatic. Our first auto of this box. How about another legend? Javi Lopez for the Atlanta Braves. Javi Lopez, 137 out of 199. I don't see a future Hall of Famer there, but I do see a really good solid catcher and player for the Braves. Not like those two up there. Two Hall of Famers for sure right there. Johnny Bench and Albert Pujols. Alright, we got a Andrew Jones, 70 out of 299. Leo DeRocher on the silver prism. David Ortiz on the dingers. We should have two more autos coming. Here we go, guys. We got Aiden Miller for the Phillies. That is 394 out of 499. Jesus Made on the red wave. George Lombard Jr. on the prismatic. We got an orange of Enrique Bradfield Jr. Nice color match for the Orioles. That one is 6 out of 49. Kevin Alcantara for the Cubs on the silver prism. Connor Griffin on the fireworks. There's our next auto. Behind Adam Jones right there. Pablo Sandoval, that is 160 out of 299. Ethan Salas on the red wave. Kalen Culpepper dingers. Alright, our next auto. Going to the Orioles. That is Heston Kjerstad. This one is not numbered. On the blue, Hank Greenberg for Detroit. 50 out of 199. Hank Greenberg on the silver prism. Dingers of Hideki Matsui. Jackson Churio, excuse me, on the Pulsar. And our last auto is right there. We're going to save that. Talisman of Bryce Eldridge. Manny Ramirez on the red. That is 232 out of 299. Robin Ventura Silver Prism. Prismatic of Kumar Rocker. Grady Sizemore, Cleveland, 456 out of 499. Jace Jung on the red wave. Nick Kurtz on the fireworks. That is Colson Montgomery on the checkerboard. That is 47 of 99. Cooper Pratt on the silver prism. Dingers of Miguel Cabrera. That is Brady Ebel, again to the non-MLB NIL spot, 154 out of 199. Coaching chain for the Dodgers. We have a blue Cam Smith Prismatic. That is for Houston. That is numbered, should be to 99. That is 51 out of 99. 51 of 99. And our last auto of the break being protected by Jackson Churio. And then we will do a full recap. Let's get these out of the way. Our last auto is a Pulsar auto to 199. Of Chase Davis. Nice auto for the St. Louis Cardinals. Another Cardinals auto. I think that's 3 this break. That is 35 of 199. Chase Davis. And let's see what our Jackson Churio is. Jackson Churio on the Pulsar, 428 out of 499. There, my friends, is your break. All right, recap time. As always, we won't say any names unless they are inserts until we get to 99. Let's do a little zoom in for eBay. Here we go. Do that. There we go. All right, these are to 499. Excuse me, 499. 886 is not posted. Yeah, I see that, blah. So I think 886 could either be it could be optic fast break basketball, or it could be the rest of this Prism case. You never know with Dane. All right, here we go to 499. So what we're saying, guys, is keep an eye on Sunday, break number 886, which could also be the other 6 boxes of this case. Or look for Tuesday to 299. All right, you got it, buddy. You got it. To 199. Dingers red of Reggie Jackson. James Triantos on the Prismatic. Prismatic Christian Campbell. Dingers of Reggie Jackson. Purple. You got, these are the 149. All right, 1099. We got Colson Montgomery, Cam Smith on the Prismatic, Cooper Pratt, Bobby Witt Jr., Brandon Sprout, Rhett Lauder on the Prismatic, Blake Mitchell, and Dylan Cruz. To 75 green scopes, we got Yordani Monegro, Walker Janik, and Luke Dickerson. On the orange to 49, we have Enrique Bradfield Jr. on the color match, and Malcolm Moore for Texas. To 25, we had one mojo, and it was Joe Sewell for Cleveland. Tampa Bay, we got the only cherry blossom of the break, and that was Carson Williams. Our gold in the break went to San Diego. That's Leo DeVries. Our autos, not numbered. Heshton Kerstead, Jonathan Clase, Bryce Eldridge, Antonio Anderson, Adrian Santana, Ethan Anderson, Hunter Holland. To 199, Chase Davis, Javi Lopez, Josur Gonzalez, Kellen Lindsay, and Dante Nori. To 99, we have Colt Keith and Max Rajik. To 25, we have Wyatt Sanford for Pittsburgh. Two legends of the game. 1099, Johnny Bench for the Cincinnati Reds. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, Albert Pujols of the St. Louis Cardinals, blue to 49, 20 out of 49. And I think this has got to be the hit of the break. It's a Mojo Auto Prismatrix to 25 of rookie sensation for the Houston Astros, Cam Smith. There you go, my friends. There's your break. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope to see you all next time. Have yourself a great afternoon. I will be back in a few hours for break number 884. 884. And we'll see you then. Have a great night, y'all. Peace.